Cold cases heats up. Disappearance of Ernest Matthew Cook haunts Bache for over a decade. Ernest Matthew Cook was a young man with a life ahead of him. He vanished without a trace on April 22, 1999, in the small town of Bache, Oklahoma. For 13 agonizing years, his absence cast long shadow, leaving his loved ones cringing on hopes. Then a shocking turn of events happens. KimbroNator here, guys. We're doing a deeper dive into the murder mystery cases here of 411 Missing. You want to dive deeper into the rabbit hole of unsolved cases? Be sure to like and subscribe for more of this kind of content. Ernest Matthew Cook went missing on April 22nd in 1999. He was 27 years of age at the time. He's 5'10", 180 pounds. Ernest Cook was living in a camper on his property that belonged to his grandfather in the rural area of Bache, Oklahoma. Cook was recently divorced, a father of 2 young girls. On the night of April 22nd, 1999, at 10:30 p.m., his father was driving Cook back to his camper. Ernest's father stated that his son got out of his truck, started walking to the wooded area, where his camper sat. And he waved goodbye. That was the last time he was seen alive. John Cook went back to his camper the next day to check on his son, and he found he was not in the camper. He did find his overnight bag in the camper. It was open with the shoes on top, along with clean clothes, photos of his kids. John searched immediately the area and did not see his son. 2 days later, John returned to the camp with his father, and they began searching the area. 200 yards from the camper, out in the pasture, they found Ernest's sleeping bag and a pillow. The two continued to look, and further past the sleeping bag, they found a small road. In the middle of the dirt road, they found a barefoot track on the right side and a boot track on the other side. He left his shoes in the camper. John Cook was interviewed later, and he stated he does not believe that his son had left his camper voluntarily. The location of the incident is in rural southeastern Oklahoma of Dow. This region of Oklahoma has a thick underbrush, lots of water in the vicinity, and the specific location of Ernest disappeared in a very remote. So some of the case summary here. It appears, though, as something occurred to Ernest while he was sleeping in the camper. It also appeared that he was not wearing his shoes when he left his sleeping bag and was interrupted. The question that grabs is, why was he carrying his sleeping bag? Was he forced to carry his pillow? The idea of him carrying a sleeping bag for warmth makes some sense, but the idea of him carrying a pillow makes very little sense. I don't know. We do not know if Ernest made the barefoot marks in the mud or if someone else did. We also don't know if the boots were previously there or the person Ernest was walking with in the marks. We also don't know if Ernest had made the barefoot marks that had been there for several days. Digging into this little story out of the 411 series, you kind of go out and Google, missing case of Ernest Matthew Cook. And the first thing I find is a gravesite, tombstone of Ernest Matthew Cook. And by the way, here is a picture of Matthew and his dad and mom. Another thing to note is you don't usually have a gravestone when you have somebody missing, until they presume the bad happened. A lot of times family will do a gravestone at that point. So he was obviously found, and when I read into the find a grave marker, there's this story that so he went missing on April 22nd in 1999. They found him on May 20th, 1999, less than 30 days, right at 30 days after he initially went missing in Gore, Oklahoma. Unfortunately, at the time when they found him, he was buried as John Doe. It's very strange. He was buried in Gore, Oklahoma, as John Doe because he was found to be struck by a train. Ironically, these are the tracks in Oklahoma where they found him at. So they found him in Oklahoma. Not too far. It's about over an hour away from where he initially was at, where he went missing at, on the train tracks. So how did he get there? And it created a lot of questions for me just reading into this. It's like, you went missing for less than 30 days. You find this person off the train tracks. You would have thought they would have cross-referenced. Maybe his body was in such bad shape they couldn't identify him. But it's 1999. You would think DNA would be readily available where they could check, more things at that time. I'm just dumbfounded that it took them 13 years to find this out. That family sat there for 13 years. They could have known within 30 days that their son was found dead and had a proper burial, but they had to wait 13 years after the fact of everything happened. It's just sad. It's a sad story. Craziness. Here is Bache, Oklahoma. You can see here, I'll even pull the satellite map up. So it's down here. There's a reservoir here. And they found him. And here is the train tracks they found him on in Gore, Oklahoma. And another thing too, on Google, you can see more dates available. We can go back even further. Google Maps didn't start until the mid-2000s. Let's go back to 2008. This is Gore, Oklahoma in 2008. So this is closer to the time frame. It's not as clear pictures of the technology of the time, but it's March of 2008, and they also drove back in November of 2008. Very, very eerie stuff there, guys. If you guys like this, be sure to drop a like and do leave a comment if you have anything you want to add to this. If you know anything about it, like this video and share it with your friends and your theories about the Ernest case. I'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. I've got a couple more I want to do. Hey, if y'all like these, I'll do a lot more. There's a ton of them. I've been reading a bunch of them lately, so we'll catch you later.